Hi guys, we're just going to do a Clesana install on a Lotus Caravan today. I'm just going to show you how simple it is to retrofit one of these products to the Lotus Caravan, replacing the existing cassette toilet for the latest Clesana C1. So we're going to be using the power control board and a buffer battery so that we don't have to upgrade the electrical cables. This will allow us to do a nice and simple install, which is relatively quick and easy, using not only the power control board, but the custom-made backing that we produce as well. So the first step is to remove the existing cassette toilet. We're going to remove the cassette. We're going to come underneath and we're going to isolate the water. We've already turned off the water pump, and what we want to do in this particular case is we want to remove this T-connector that supplies the flush of the existing cassette toilet with a straight connector. This will allow the water to flow straight through to the sink, but isolate it from the toilet so the toilet can be removed. So with the water isolated, the next thing we're going to do is take out the existing toilet by undoing the screws that retain the toilet to the vehicle floor. So once we've removed all the retaining screws beneath, we can just simply lift off the toilet from the retaining clip, reach behind and loosen off the electrical connection so that we can get better access to the back side of the toilet to disconnect the power. Disconnected. So now that we've removed the existing cassette toilet, we're just going to tidy up by taking the bracket that retained the toilet off the wall. This is the final piece that clears the area ready for the Clesana to be installed. So we're just going to unbox the Clesana now so that we can get her ready for install. We're going to take out the locking tabs, lift off the box lid, and then we can access the toilet itself. Now this one happens to come with a few extra liners that the gentleman ordered. The toilet itself is easily removed from its packaging. Simply lift it out. It will sit on the floor by itself. We have the instruction manuals here, of course, and the operating guide and the monitor itself, which is just going to pop into the top of that custom backing that we've got. The existing power cable that supplied power to the flush of the cassette toilet, we're going to use with the power control board and the buffer battery. This acts as a sort of micro charger for the buffer battery. So the existing power cable will trickle charge the buffer battery that we're going to use to give the toilet the oomph, the power it needs to do the welding process. Inside the box of the power management board, you're going to find the instructions. You're going to find all the cables you require to connect to the buffer battery and to the toilet itself. So we're going to disassemble the Clesana ready for install so that we can get access to the mounting plate below. What we're going to do is we're going to reach behind and press the black retaining tab in, which will allow us to lift the toilet from back to front off the Clesana unit. We're then going to take out the liner cassette holder. We're going to rotate her back around and we're going to remove the tray bucket, which will allow us access to the locking plate for the swivel base. Using a star bit, we're going to remove the 4 stainless locking plate screws. And we're going to remove the locking plate. This will allow us to slide the toilet back. And once we've undone the cables here, we can then remove the toilet completely off the base. The next step is to position the backing. We want to make sure that the backing covers over the existing cassette cutout and any screws that were used to retain the cassette toilet. Once we're happy with the position of the backing, we want to make sure that the swivel base is 20 millimeters away from that backing to enable the toilet to swivel correctly and open the lid fully. So now we're going to apply the backing, and what we're going to do is we're just going to put some contact silicone all the way around the backing itself, lift it up against the wall into position, and then secure it with a few screws into the floor. Now you'll see on the bottom of the swivel base there is a cutout for the cables to go into the toilet. What we're going to do is just slice down either side of that cutout and just take that tab out of the picture. Now that we've removed the tab where our cables are going to go through, we're going to position this and secure it to the floor in the center of the backing box and about 20 mil away. We want to make sure that we get the cables in first. So we're going to lift up the base again. We're going to pop the cables through to where they need to go and through that tab that we removed. We're then going to reposition the base on the floor, and before we secure it down, pop the cables into the toilet backing. There. Okay, so now that we've got the cables in, we want to secure it in position, and we're just going to use some stainless steel button head screws to secure it to the floor. Now that the base is secure and the cables are in place, we can then position the toilet onto the swivel. We're just going to simply lift it into place and then slide the toilet forward to lock it into position. We can then attach the cables so that the toilet is ready for use once we power her up. Reversing the process from before, we're then going to pop in the retaining locking plate and reattach the 4 stainless screws that hold the locking plate into position. Done. Once the toilet has been repositioned, we simply fish out the cable for the monitor through the backing, attach it to the monitor, and then pop the monitor into the pre-cut hole. It will simply click and lock into place, leaving us only to clean up the excess silicone from where we applied the black. The last part in the process is to come outside, mount the power management board and connect the cables. So we're going to use the existing wires from the old cassette toilet and the wires that go through to the toilet itself and connect that with a lithium buffer battery. Depending on the brand of battery that you choose to provide the buffer power, you may need to replace the existing connections. In this case, we're going to have to replace these with spade connectors. So we now have the new spade connectors applied to the cables, which will allow us to easily attach the cable to the battery. Next, we're going to install the power management board and wire the whole unit up. So making sure that you've isolated the power from the toilet, we're going to cut the cables and insert them into the EBL.
Making sure that the positive is in the positive.
And the negative is connected to the negative. As you'll see, the power management board is very self-explanatory. You want to connect the battery cables into the battery side of the board and the toilet cables into the toilet side of the board, making sure that you attach the positive and the negative the correct way round. So here are the cables for the toilet. So we're going to insert the positive and negative into place and tighten up like so. Okay, we're then going to do the exact same thing with the battery cables. Once this is done, we're then going to simply connect the battery and secure it in place. Okay, with that all installed, tucked up and neatly cable tied, we've just got to tidy up the silicone inside, which we'll do off camera, and that's the install done. So guys, that's how you retrofit a cassette toilet and install the Clesana C1. You can find out more information through other videos that we've done in different installs, or you can see how the toilet is used on our YouTube channel. You could also alternatively find out more information at clesana.au. Cheers.